Weeknights at 10, only on MSNBC.
Nobody ever exactly mistook it for the videotape of Neil Armstrong landing on the moon, nor even for the shots of Lindbergh touching down in Paris at Le Bourget Field after the first transatlantic solo flight. But our number one story on the countdown tonight focuses in on what is still a pretty famous piece of film, and the man who says, yep, that's me. For almost 4 decades, these images, known as the Patterson film, were the very debatable best evidence of the existence of a half-man, half-ape, missing link, Yeti kind of creature living in the Northwest called Sasquatch and Bigfoot. That was until a paranormal investigator by the name of Greg Long got in touch with a retired Pepsi bottler by the name of Bob Heronimous. Bob is Bigfoot, such is the claim in Long's book, The Making of Bigfoot. Joining me now from Yakima, Washington, Bob Heronimous, and from Los Angeles, Robert Kiviat, the owner of Kiviat Productions, which is currently in the pre-production phase of a television special on the Bigfoot legend. Gentlemen, good evening. Mr. Heronimous, let me begin with you here. Why, after almost 40 years of keeping this a secret, have you decided to come clean now about you portraying Bigfoot in this thing?
Well, after 35 years of watching this on television numerous times, I think it's time that people knew the truth. I was the man in the Bigfoot suit.
How did that happen? How did you come to be there, and what was the purpose of it?
I was approached by Roger Patterson and offered some money to wear the Bigfoot suit in Northern California in 1967.
How much money, and did you ever get it?
He offered me $1,000. I never saw a dime of it all these years.
Just another part of the hoax. Mr. Kiviat, you produced a TV special, World's Greatest Hoaxes Exposed. In that, you had identified another man as being the man in the suit. What made you believe Bob Heronimous?
Well, we were looking at all the evidence, and there was one individual that had come out who had said he worked at a film company that exploited the film in feature films. And when Bob Heronimous emerged after the airing and said, look, the guy you're pointing to, or your informant is pointing to, is wrong, but I am the guy, I felt there was a breakthrough either way. The point is we were trying to get to the bottom of the story. We didn't know for sure if the informant was telling us the truth. And I really thank Bob Heronimous for coming out and finally putting this particular film to rest, I believe.
Mr. Heronimous, we've received, since we advertised your appearance here, an extraordinary amount of email. People who firmly believe that you could not possibly be the man in the film, either because they think it's somebody else or because they think it's really Bigfoot. How do you respond to them?
Well, if you read the book, the investigation that Greg Long done on this Bigfoot thing, there should be no surprises at all. I was the man in the suit.
Sir, when computers and film analysis came into being, a lot of people studied and restudied this film and said, hey, wait a minute, 2 things. Bigfoot is wearing a belt of some sort, and it looks like he's got sneakers on. Do you remember, were you wearing a belt or a harness of some sort to keep this costume in place?
No, there was no belt or no slippers.
So what were you walking on? Were the bare feet inside the costume, or what was that?
I was walking in my stocking feet inside the costume. Yes, they were the manufacturer of the suit had some kind of a gorilla feet attached to the suit.
Goodness. Mr. Kiviat, I guess the overarching question about all this here is, why would anybody make this film in the first place, and why do we buy it all? Have we all bought it for so long?
Well, the reasons why they made the film apparently were for money, but also there appears to be a lot of evidence that there was a larger plan to really create a Bigfoot myth in that part of the country. Basically, at this point, I believe people have a belief in these kind of mysteries, and one of the things I've tried to do in network programs is get to the bottom of them, and a lot of other producers for years have not really done due diligence trying to get to the bottom of it, and I just think we're finally getting to these great mysteries, and one way or the other, I think we need to get to the bottom of them and prove one way or the other if they're real or not. And so,
Bob Heronimous, one last question, and then we'll let you go. Are you happy that you were Bigfoot in this film, or ashamed, or don't you care one way or the other?
Well, at the time that I made the film, I didn't care one way or the other. I just wanted the money. Now, it's time people knew the truth. It's time people knew the truth.
Bob Heronimous. the man behind the suit, and Robert Kiviat of Kiviat Productions. We're out of time. We thank you for your time this evening. Thank you much, gentlemen.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Before we depart the strange world of bizarre Bigfoot hoaxes, the number one thing you need to know about our number one story, if you can't wait for Robert Kiviat's Bigfoot special, you may want to bide your time over with one of his other titles. You remember Alien Autopsy? I think that was, it goes back to our Paul Allen story, but we'll just leave that alone. Let's recap the 5 countdown stories tonight, the ones we think you'll be talking about tomorrow. Number 5, scathing criticism of the current administration's handling of Al-Qaeda and terrorism, both before and after 9/11, from former counterterrorism coordinator Richard Clark. The Bush administration denies the charges, saying Clark is motivated by politics and by a desire to sell his new book on the subject. 4, scandal brewing in Florida after a high school teacher clubs, or carves up really, 2 baby bunnies to death with a shovel in front of her students, her ag class. She says it was the humane thing to do. The authorities say it counts as 2 charges of animal cruelty. She may be fined. 3, the battle for the White House, crossing party lines to some degree. Senator Chuck Hagel becomes the 2nd Republican in as many weeks to disagree with the Bush-Cheney characterization of John Kerry as soft on defense. Number 2, the taped tale of the sniper suspect arrest. Takes 12 hours, 16 different phone calls to police in Vegas before they are convinced the suspect was even in Sin City. And number 1, Bigfoot exposed. And here on Countdown. Yeah, next you'll be telling me we really didn't go to the moon. That is Countdown. Thanks for being part of it. I'm Keith Oberman. Good night and good luck. My feed, by the way, is at 13 and a half.